You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer and thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Busy day ahead. Want to let you know some of what we've got coming up, not just in this next hour, but later today as well. Coming up here on Fox Local. We do expect to hear from Governor Ron DeSantis speaking in the Panhandle in Santa Rosa County, actually, the town of Milton, where the governor is expected to speak around noon. We know those news conferences typically run a little bit late, so noon Eastern. That's actually in the Central Time Zone, but noon Eastern when we do expect to hear from Governor DeSantis. We will bring that to you live here on Fox Local. We're also going to take you to Tampa, where several arrests were made during a protest outside MacDill Air Force Base. This happened just a little bit ago in the last hour and a half or so. A group of veterans and others protesting and calling for some actions when it comes to the military's current stance on Israel. So we will take you there, and you will hear from some of the people involved with that protest. We are also going to hear from Attorney General James Uthmeier, who held a news conference in Jacksonville just a little bit ago talking about the crackdown on 7-OH. That is an opioid-like compound. They call it gas station morphine. It's something that's been pulled off the shelves here in Florida because of an emergency rule announced by the state last month. We got an update on those efforts to crack down on that and some new steps and new actions taken today. So we're going to hear more about that coming up in just a little bit. But we begin this morning with the big story breaking overnight. Here's a live look at Stardust Racers at Epic Universe, not in operation. You see no of the roller coaster cars rolling on the tracks right now. It's closed today after a death for a rider at the end, after being unresponsive at the end of that roller coaster ride. A guest at Epic Universe died after becoming unresponsive on Stardust Racers. And Fox 35's Amanda Ruiz explains what we know.
That's exactly what a Universal spokesperson told me. They say that this is an absolute tragic incident to happen on their park. It happened in Epic Universe. It's a brand new park to come to them, and it's only been open for about 4 months. Now, we're told that a man in his 30s actually was found unresponsive after riding Stardust Racers. That's one of the roller coasters at Epic Universe. He was taken to the hospital and was later pronounced dead. Now, the spokesperson also told us they are absolutely devastated by this happening on their park, and they say their thoughts and prayers are with the family. They say they are fully committed to this investigation, as we know that this is an ongoing investigation. If you don't know Stardust Racers and haven't been to Epic Universe, it's a dual coaster. So there's two coasters going at the same time. They reach speeds at about 62 miles per hour, and they can go up to 133 feet up in the air. So it's a pretty intense roller coaster, but it is extremely popular. I want to show you, if you're going to Epic Universe later, if you pull out your phone and go to the Epic Universe app and scroll down to Stardust Racers, you can see that they have announced that it is closed today. So keep that in mind if you're going. We don't know how long it's going to be closed, if it's just going to be a today thing. We reached out to the Orange County Sheriff's Office to get an update for them, and they say that it's so early in the investigation that that's all they can provide us at this time. Reporting in Orange County, Amanda Ruiz, Fox 35 News.
Yeah, certainly a tragedy in just a lot of ways. And this, again, the ride could remain closed for a while now as that investigation continues. Epic Universe, of course, the newest theme park here in Central Florida, also in the country. It was highly anticipated when it opened earlier this year. This, of course, the first deadly incident. Matthew Miller is America's theme park technologist with Innovated Studios, and he was on Good Day Orlando to talk about what happens now with this investigation.
Obviously, safety is a top priority, not just at Universal, but across the industry. So really hate waking up to this news, but we know that not only, for the Orange County, for the county, but also for the park, they're going to do everything they can to get this, resolved and figure out what happened. We know that when these attractions are built, they're built to the highest level of safety as possible. So obviously, thoughts and prayers out to the family after this incident. Really hate to hear it.
Matthew, and in all of our theme parks, there are incidents, there are serious incidents, there are deaths in some case. This could be a health situation. But Universal has to know, is it anything to do with our ride? They can't eliminate that right away. So when you look at this investigation, when there's a death, it takes it to another level. What do you expect to see from them, and what do you think about what they've said at this point?
Well, I think the first thing that Universal did right is obviously they acknowledged what happened. They said, listen, we've got to go through and do an investigation. They're going to take their time, go through and check on the attraction. You know, like I said, when these attractions are built, they're built for years and they're tested for years. So normally when something like this happens, then they're able to say, hey, you know, unfortunately, the guest had some type of health, you know, condition getting on the attraction that was unknown. Again, I don't want to speak for Universal. They're going to go through and figure out what happened here. But really, really hate to hear it because, you know, this doesn't just impact Universal, right? This is an industry-wide. Other parks, not only in Orlando, but around the nation, have been looking at this because we've got to be safe. Universal does everything they can to make it safe. We know it's going to stay that way, but I really hate to wake up hearing this morning.
Yeah, Matthew, let's be clear. My guess would be thousands of riders have ridden this ride by this point. I mean, since it opened. So it has certainly not only been tested, but many, many people have ridden it. Describe the ride. I know it goes up to 62 miles per hour.
It's a dual launching coaster. There's two tracks that are side by side. They do this incredible sort of dance around each other called the Celestial Spin towards the end of the attraction. It is a launching attraction. You'll launch multiple times. You know, there like you called out at over 60 miles per hour. And to your point in terms of numbers, you know, they don't share every milestone, but we know that the Monsters attraction, it recently hit 1 million riders.
Wow.
And that was over a month ago. So yes, tens and tens of thousands of guests would have been on this attraction at this point.
Let's talk to the liability side. We see it at all our theme parks, big and small. There's a ride that, hey, if you're not pregnant, if you don't know, if you have an undiagnosed heart condition, they know that any ride, I mean, rides at all of our theme parks can be deadly if you have an undiagnosed condition. We don't know if that's the case here or not, but we do know there are a lot of signs posted for guests on those rides, probably including this one.
That's right. Yeah, you'll see them not even at the attraction, but well before you get to the attraction. Things like if you're on the website and the mobile app, there's different areas where they'll call out, you know, safety things. You know, a lot of times people ask, well, gosh, like, why is there a height restriction on a ride? Like, don't they want my child to be able to ride the ride? All of that plays into the safety of these attractions because, again, the theme parks want to tell a great story. They want you to have fun. But the number one priority at any park in the world is always safety. So well before you get to the attraction, there are steps being made to make sure that you're safe and that you know what you're getting into. And then, like you said, as you're getting into the attraction, getting into the queue, there's multiple signs, you know, there's lockers as you're passing. So yes, there are plenty of ways as you're getting into this to know what type of attraction you're getting on well before you put that lap bar seatbelt on, depending on the ride.
Yeah, and we saw that all too well in Orlando. We know with Tyrese Sampson why it matters so much to follow those regulations. Let's finish with this. We just saw from the app, Amanda did a great job of showing us it's closed for today. How long might that continue? I know it's a bit of a guessing game, but what do you think will go into that decision?
My guess is it won't be a today or tomorrow thing. You know, they're definitely going to need time. They're not going to rush this. They're going to say, hey, did the attraction operate in the way that it should? Okay, probably good there. What else was going on? Checking with the medical exam, going through it. So my guess is, you know, at least a couple of days. But again, I don't want to speak for Universal because you never know, right? It may be an immediate thing to where they're like, hey, we spoke with the family. We know what happened. Or, hey, no, it's taking us a little bit longer to figure out, you know, what ended up happening. But I would not expect it to be open by lunch today.
And we will certainly keep monitoring that situation. We are following up on this as well today, trying to learn more. We'll bring you those new details as we get them here on Fox Local. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Attorney General James Uthmeier was in Jacksonville this morning. He was continuing to talk about the ongoing crackdown of 7-OH. It's an opioid-like compound that officials say is 13 times more potent than morphine. It goes by the name of gas station morphine. It's something that you've been able to find in some gas station stores and other shops as well. But there was an emergency rule that the state attorney general filed last month to make it illegal to sell it, possess it, or distribute these isolated or concentrated forms of 7-OH here in the state of Florida. Today, we got an update on that from the Agriculture Commissioner and the Attorney General, who said there have been 18,000 illegal packages that have been removed from store shelves across the state. And today, they also announced a new emergency labeling rule to further this crackdown on what they're calling gas station morphine here in Florida. I want to play for you this news conference as we heard from the Agriculture Commissioner, the Attorney General, and also the Jacksonville Sheriff talking about these efforts.
Good morning. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Florida is leading the nation in cracking down on dangerous kratom-derived 7-OH products, what many people have called gas station morphine. Our message today is simple. If you sell or distribute these illegal products, we will find you, we will remove them, and you will be held accountable. These products target teens and young adults with flashy packaging and false wellness claims, but they're just as addictive as opioids. They're just addictive opioids. 7-OH destroys lives just like street-level heroin and fentanyl. Since Attorney General issued his emergency rule to schedule concentrated 7-OH as a controlled substance, we've removed nearly 18,000 illegal packages of 7-OH from store shelves across 30 counties. We have found 67 schools within a half a mile of locations where our inspectors removed illegal 7-OH products. And in Jacksonville, 2 schools were across the street from one of these 2 stores. We won't let it sneak into our communities disguised as a supplement. This is about keeping Florida families safe and protecting consumers who think they are buying something natural, but are really buying high-powered narcotics. FDAC's inspectors are on the front lines every day working hand in hand with partners to pull dangerous products off shelves. We're proud to stand with the Attorney General Uthmeier and Sheriff Waters. This is what teamwork looks like: swift action, clear rules, and real enforcement. Today we are filing a new emergency labeling rule that ensures that manufacturers and retailers can't hide behind vague labels or misleading marketing. Every product must clearly state the 7-OH concentration in parts per million. If the 7-OH concentration is too high, it's illegal and will be removed. A few years ago, we sounded the alarm on kratom. Today, Florida is doing what others wouldn't, putting public safety first. The Attorney General's previous emergency rule put 7-OH in the same category as heroin, LSD, and fentanyl analogs, and that's where it belongs. Florida will always choose protecting kids and families over protecting the profits of bad actors. Working with Attorney General Uthmeier and Sheriff Waters, we are making it clear we won't rest until dangerous drugs like 7-OH are off the market and out of our neighborhoods. At this time, I'm going to invite the Attorney General for a few remarks.
Sheriff, I see you brought in the high podium today to make me look short. Thanks for having us, Sheriff. Again, it's great to be here in a big city in Florida where crime rates are going down. You know, we look across the country at so many blue city sanctuary cities where they're still struggling with high crime rates, tons of murders. You know, we've got a sheriff and his office that have led the way in cutting a murder rate in half in this city. Crime rates are going down because we back our law enforcement, we put criminals behind bars, and we protect our families. It's really not that complicated. When you support these guys and let them do their jobs, they do their so thanks for being here today to highlight some great results I want to thank the commissioner here and his law enforcement team for getting almost 18,000 products off the shelves that are dangerous. The 7-0H product, it's a drug. Gas station morphine, I think, is a pretty good description to describe the risk that it presents, especially to our kids. Several weeks back, we met with the FDA commissioner. Shortly after the FDA announced an advisory pointing states out to the danger of 7-0H, a fairly new concentrate that's found naturally in kratom, but when extracted and when chemically enhanced, it can be 13 times more potent than morphine. And this is what's been on shelves in gas stations, retail stores, 7-Elevens, right next to candy. We've got to get this stuff away from our kids. I'm a big believer that government should let businesses do their thing, stay out of the way, except in the most extreme of circumstances. And that is what this is. It was an emergency. We were getting reports up and down the state of adverse health consequences, emergency room visits, including kids. And at that point, we had to step in. So we quickly issued an emergency rule. We rescheduled this drug. It can no longer be commercially sold on the shelves. And thanks to our agriculture law enforcement team, we are cracking down and we are getting it away from the hands of our kids. So we're going to continue to go up and down the state, hold wrongdoers accountable, and let people know, stay away from our kids. So, Sheriff, thanks again for the job you do and for hosting us here this morning.
Yes, sir. So thank you, General. Thank you, Commissioner. And good morning. Thank you all for being here today. A few weeks ago, the men beside me took decisive action to protect Floridians by banning the sale of dangerous compound known as 7-0H in stores across our state. And today, we are here to emphasize the importance of that action. For far too long, dangerous and unregulated substances like 7-0H have been allowed to creep into our neighborhoods. And while they may be sold under the disguise of harmless products, the reality is that they pose a very real threat to the health and safety of our families and our kids. I want to commend Attorney General Uthmeier and Commissioner Simpson for their leadership and swift action to ensure 7-0H is no longer available on store shelves in Florida. Locally, our narcotics unit sees the consequences of these substances firsthand. And just last week, JSO narcotics detectives seized 341.4 grams of kratom while conducting a search warrant. These are not victimless crimes. Every package sold has the potential to destroy lives, tear apart families, and put an added strain on our healthcare system and law enforcement resources. The action to remove them from our store shelves sends a clear message. Florida will not tolerate dangerous, addictive substances being pushed onto our citizens and our kids. Our agency remains committed to working alongside our state partners to keep those poisons off of our streets, to hold those dealers accountable, and to protect the very people that we serve in Jacksonville and across our great state. So thank you.
At this time, I should probably invite Dr. Curran up. And Dr. Curran runs our department that manages this type of product and many others, including hemp. And we're very proud of his work. And we'll be happy to try to answer any questions if there are any.
There's been a lot of legislation in recent years looking to either fully ban kratom or further regulate it. Obviously, this reclassification of 7-0H is coming through an emergency rule. Is there still a place for the legislature to step in here? Is the ultimate goal to schedule kratom, or the concentrations below a certain amount, or still okay with it?
So this emergency rule is only good until the legislature comes back to meet. So ultimately, they're the policy-making branch. Appropriately, they can either ratify the rule, amend it, or impose restrictions at their discretion. I certainly think when it comes to hemp and kratom and some of these new products that we're all still learning about, that there's a lot we don't know. Are there some medical therapeutic, advances that could come with some of these products? Sure. Are there things that could be prescribed by physicians to be helpful? Sure. But at the end of the day, I think it's up to the legislature to do the deep dive and really figure out, what protections we want to have in place. We've had great legislation recently, especially in the context of vaping, where my office is looking at products that are advertised and attractive to kids, and we've got to stop that. It's vapes in the classroom today. It's very different than cigarettes. Kids are pulling them out of pockets and killing brain cells ad nauseum. I don't think we're going to defeat China and our adversaries if everybody's high every day. So we're continuing to look at this. Again, the legislature will be the appropriate body for long-term policy.
Follow up on that, just because you mentioned vapes. Your office came out with the stop sale list back, I guess, in January, and gas stations and all the like, smoke shops or whatever, were supposed to stop selling those products 60 days later in March. But according to state data, there's been no citations or fines issued in any of our local counties here in Northeast Florida. I'm guessing that enforcement probably falls on DVPR. Are you satisfied with the level of enforcement you've seen so far?
We're not. We're still looking for more resources to enforce. This is a brand new policy. I think the first list came out. The second one is coming fairly soon. I know your office has pulled out a lot of products too. So I think the commissioner's doing a great job. We got to work with other agencies that have authorities to properly get these things off the shelves and levy fines where appropriate.
Is it FDAX that's in charge of the nicotine vape enforcement, or are you just the hemp?
No, yes. We are in charge of hemp and obviously these products and many other products that we're inspecting on a daily basis. So at this time, we are not responsible for the vaping products. And we don't do any of the vaping products.
The hemp ones.
The hemp vaping, right, hemp, but not, that's right. Nicotine falls under the BPR.
So then what is the enforcement going to look like in Jacksonville, primarily towards the Seminole ban? Are we just going to have detectives coming into every gas station convenience store, looking at the products on the shelves?
Yeah, so from FDAC perspective, we have inspectors stationed statewide, including here in Jacksonville, and our inspectors do go into convenience stores, smoke shops, warehouses, and things like that. And if anything is in greater concentration than the Attorney General's emergency rule stipulates, those would come off sale immediately. We would stop sale them. They couldn't be moved from that point. And then at that point, they're deemed controlled substances, so they would have to be disposed of properly. They can't be sent back to the manufacturer. They can't be thrown in the trash. These are actual narcotics. They're drugs, so they have to be disposed of in a proper manner, as any other drug would be, and law enforcement can speak in detail to that as well.
Are there criminal penalties associated with selling these products at this point? I mean, are smoke shop owners getting arrested, more or less?
There can be, yes. I mean, they're scheduled substances, so yes, there can be.
What kind of health effects are you seeing when people, especially teens, use these products?
So when it comes to 7-OH, it is, as the Attorney General reported, is about 13 times more potent than morphine. And I think we all are familiar with morphine, it's a painkiller and it's addictive. And so when you take painkillers, it has a euphoric effect. It kind of decreases your mental functions and such like that. And when you're addicted to something, this is something that your body craves and it goes back for more and more and more. So it's really a detriment to youth, especially who may be naive in the effects of these things. They get hooked on these things. It's a very difficult process to become unaddicted.
I know that 7-OH acts similar to an opioid, but it's not technically an opioid. When you're looking at like overdose situations, does Narcan work on these products?
So 7-OH is in the opioid family. It has the same effects as that. As far as with Narcan working on that, I'm not a physician, so I really can't speak to whether it does or doesn't. But it is in the opioid family.
Does Georgia have the same enforcement? And if not, does that create some black market for people buying it some other state, bringing it in Florida and selling it here?
So I can't speak to Georgia's laws or Georgia's enforcement, but that black market, as you referred to, unfortunately exists everywhere. And it's been a lifelong thing for all law enforcement to try to eliminate a black market. And so we just do our best that we can with the resources to try to make that as difficult as possible in Florida.
Is Florida like the only state doing this, or is other states doing it in terms of this particular?
We're out front when it comes to this. There aren't too many states that are doing what we're doing. And states do contact us when it comes to 7-OH and hemp and other things like that. They do contact us to learn more about what we've done and our experiences. So we're in the forefront with that.
A little off-topic question. Obviously, the open carry ruling has been in the news. Your office issued some guidance recently. I know GSO put out a statement as well. I think there's maybe still some questions because it's so new in our state. What does open carry look like, especially when it comes to long guns? out there who want to exercise this right, but want to do so in a proper fashion, so they're not breaking the law or, you know, holding their firearm in an intimidating or harassing way. I mean, what can you kind of tell us in terms of what is okay, what is not?
So the first DCA, as you mentioned, they issued a ruling striking down the state's longstanding prohibition on open carry as unconstitutional, making open carry the law of the state, where no other appellate court in the state has ruled the opinion of the first DCA will apply statewide. So I agree with the opinion. I think it's consistent with our constitutional rights and the meaning that the founders intended when they wrote the document. What does it mean today? It applies broadly to all firearms. However, there are other sections of Florida statute. You cannot take firearms into schools, into classrooms, and you cannot, you know, hold a firearm in a way that is threatening, rude, careless, or is going to intimidate others. So my advice to people out there is, you know, these rights, we strongly protect them, but we also strongly oppose criminal behavior. If somebody's out there acting in a dangerous way, our law enforcement is going to step in. So I hope people won't be dumb out there running around with long guns pointing them at people. That's not the goal here. The founders wanted the Second Amendment to protect us from largely a tyrannical government. You know, today with the evil we're seeing with, you know, some of the radical ideologies, I think protecting yourself and your family is more important than ever, but that doesn't mean be careless.
Do you think the legislature's role to step in, maybe further define some of these? Because I know I'm trying to think of the word specifically in statute, more or less, you know, oh God, I'm drawing a blank, I'm sorry. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I think there's probably some cleanup needed because some of the, you know, the laws that were written that haven't been struck down were written at a time when open carry was not the law of the state. So I think there's probably some cleanup. I mean, I hope the legislature won't come back and, you know, try to do heavy tightening. You know, I believe open carry is good policy for the state. Majority of states have it out there. The world isn't ending. I think it's important to be in line with our United States Constitution.
It's also, Attorney General, in terms of the Baker County, the detention facility there, can you kind of give us a snapshot where that stands right now? Are there any kind of milestone events coming up that people should be watching for as that gets more into operation?
Yeah, the latest that I've been, you know, briefed on is that it's up and running, it's receiving detainees, and everything's going very well. Alligator Alcatraz, which never shut down, continues to operate. Deportation flights going out of there multiple times a week. Florida continues to lead. I think we've got more than 3 times the number of detentions and deportations than any other state in the country. We're happy to support the Trump administration, you know, to deliver on this promise and ultimately, you know, restore American sovereignty and public safety.
That was Attorney General James Uthmeier, who was talking about the crackdown on 7OH, but also answered a couple of questions there about open carry, which is now the law of Florida after the Court of Appeals struck down the state's ban on that. I was asked a couple questions about that, and then at the end was also asked about the state's immigration detention facilities, which continue to operate. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back with more after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We're learning more about two investigations underway after a former firefighter was shot to death by deputies. We learned from the Seminole County Sheriff that this suspect was at the center of a child pornography investigation. And deputies say the man was waving his gun in the air and refused to put it down. Fox 35's Amanda McKenzie reports what we know.
That's right. The first investigation has to do with the child porn allegations, and now the second investigation is to do with the deadly deputy-involved shooting. The Seminole County Sheriff says this shooting was clear-cut and justified. Now, this all went down Wednesday afternoon at a home on Hatfield Court in Longwood. After a week-long child porn investigation, it all came down to this scene with dozens of deputies swarming the neighborhood for hours. 68-year-old Gary Guckenberger, a retired Seminole County firefighter of 28 years, was shot and killed by a deputy.
We want to find every person that is responsible for this and hold them accountable. Can you imagine what that little girl is going through right now?
Sheriff Dennis Lemus says the investigation started with a tip, an IP address traced back to the home on a web forum exchanging sexually explicit pictures and videos of children as young as 3. The sheriff says Guckenberger, who lived alone, was uncooperative when deputies searched his home and seized his 4 cell phones and 2 computers last week. Knowing he had an arsenal of weapons, deputies chose to surveil Guckenberger and wait for him to come out, which he did around 3:30 Wednesday afternoon with a gun. The sheriff says Guckenberger likely knew the walls of justice were closing in. The sheriff says it's possible others will be charged as a result of this investigation, adding that a mother was in contact with Guckenberger, willing to sell her own underage daughter for sex. Now, there are several children in that neighborhood, and the home is not far from a nearby school. So if you suspect your child may have been solicited or a victim in this case, you're encouraged to contact the Seminole County Sheriff's Office.
Give you a live look right now at the Daytona Beach from our Hard Rock Hotel camera, and you can see some folks enjoying their Thursday morning out there on the beach, but seeing some rain clouds on the horizon as well. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner joins me now. And Brooks, some questions about what's happening in the tropics, but what we do know right now, expecting to see some more showers and storms across our region today.
And enjoying what continues to be, at least from Florida's perspective, Garrett, a big lull in the action. No threats in the tropics for now. But October is our most busy month historically in Florida for tropical weather, so we cannot let our guard down. We're not out of the woods yet. We'll take a look at that tropical update just minutes away. But for the rest of today, we're going to see temperatures continuing to rise slowly but surely into the middle and upper 80s with considerable cloudiness and eventually a 40% chance for a few passing showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder. Now, farther to the north today, like in Gainesville and Ocala, we'll have lower rain chances. And with more sunshine, it will warm up into the low 90s. Meanwhile, farther south in Melbourne and Palm Bay, where there's more cloud cover and a slightly higher chance of rain and an onshore flow off of a slightly cooler Atlantic, temperatures will be tempered, highs only reaching the middle and maybe in a few spots away from the beaches, upper 80s. Now, radar as of this hour shows a little bit of rain offshore, and the thinking through the day today using our exclusive Fox weather model is our light east-northeast flow will allow some of that moisture to work inland, and with the heating of the day right around 3 o'clock, we may see a few isolated storms popping up. Most of this action actually without lightning. It'll just be downpours isolated at that, but we may see a brief flare-up of storms between 4 and 8 p.m. in Orlando and in Sanford. Now, a lot of us need the rain, so this wouldn't be a bad thing, but if it comes during the time of the evening commute, obviously it could slow us down, and so today we have a 40% chance of rain. All right, here's your tropical update. Gabrielle, a tropical storm. Okay, let me put it like this. Gabrielle, a tropical storm, put it in quotes. So there's a big debate right now in the weather community from very reputable meteorologists who've been doing this for many decades, sort of looking at this and kind of scratching their head saying, wait a second, that's a tropical storm? Yeah, I got a name, Gabrielle. There was a satellite pass yesterday, a low satellite that detected winds over 40 knots. And at the time, it had thunderstorms just to the right of its center. And so the National Hurricane Center said, yep, this is no longer a tropical depression. This is a tropical storm. Well, the definition of a tropical storm gets a little bit into the weeds at this point, but usually you need to have the thunderstorms near or over the center of circulation to indicate that the heat engine that is a tropical system has formed. And there's debate in the meteorological world if that has indeed happened. Well, the bottom line is this. It is forecast to move into more favorable conditions, both warmer ocean sea surface temperatures, as well as a more supportive atmosphere for tropical weather. So while it is what's called a naked swirl, where it's devoid of the clothes, if you will, that would be thunderstorms, it's expected to reacquire, clothe itself, and get more thunderstorms over the open waters, and then develop into a hurricane early next week that could threaten Bermuda. It's too soon to say, though, because some of the computer models actually dissipate the system before it even approaches Bermuda. So we will see. Elsewhere in the tropics, in the far eastern Atlantic, there's a tropical wave that actually looks far more impressive on satellite. And this one, well, it's likely to be slow to develop for much the same reason. Lots of dry air, lots of wind shear. It's going to battle those elements over the next several days. And if it was to strengthen, the next name on the list is Umberto. But it's too soon to speculate, and we don't have any computer models that are really aggressive to develop this thing. We will have to monitor the Gulf, though, as well as the Caribbean in the coming weeks for potential development. It's quite common at the end of September into the middle of October to get storms developing in our backyard, and that can be one of the more active periods for our region. So until then, we're enjoying this lull in the action with no threats to Florida, with a 40% chance of rain today through Saturday, and then looking ahead to Monday, the first day of fall. After a decent weekend and seasonable temperatures, we'll start getting into higher rain chances for Monday and Tuesday of next week with more afternoon storms. So Garrett, that's the skinny on the tropics and the forecast. I think I should really lean on that phrase, the skinny, because there's not much to Gabrielle this morning and afternoon.
Yeah, interesting. That has been an interesting kind of name, because we thought we were going to see a tropical storm Gabrielle, a week ago, and things didn't end up happening. And now, what's going on now? So interesting to watch.
It has been a very hostile environment in the open Atlantic for any kind of tropical development, and certainly seeing what it's doing to these systems, it's a reminder of how things have to be just so for these hurricanes to develop. Of course, we like it quiet. No one wants a hurricane, but it's also getting kind of weird because we're at the peak of the season, and this is kind of what nature does to equalize the hemispheres and regulate the temperature across the northern hemisphere. So if they form, or should I say when they form, hopefully they stay over the open waters.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Fox 35 Storm Team Meteorologist Brooks Garner, we appreciate you joining us.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Garrett.
And talking about the first day of fall, getting closer to Halloween, and we learned yesterday that some of that Halloween fun is here to stay when it comes to Brevard County without needing a permit. The city of Satellite Beach in Brevard County had debated charging people essentially to trick or treat on one specific street. And Fox 35's Marley Capper has the details on why they kind of had that idea in the first place.
Good morning. One of the best places in Brevard County to trick or treat is Satellite Beach, specifically Sherwood Avenue. Thousands of kids show up. The community really loves it and gets involved. But the city says because it's so popular, it requires some extra security measures that cost around $2,500. The city wanted to pass that cost off to the citizens, but since there's no real group that organizes Halloween night or the trick-or-treating itself, the city is going to be eating that cost for traffic control, barricades, portable restrooms, first responders. Just to break down, last year that included $750 for police, just over $1,000 for firefighters, and nearly $700 for public works. Now, the residents say the city can do whatever they think is needed, but the community is respectful. It doesn't cause problems. They simply buy the candy and don't believe that they should have to bear those costs.
I have not seen disturbances. There was a very limited amount of calls for the amount of people that come there. I think that's a testament to the community and how everybody works together to make it a fun and positive event.
The city council says all of the people lead to packed roads and parked cars, so they simply want to ensure that everybody continues to be safe. Ultimately, the city decided to cover the cost for the basics, ensuring that trick-or-treating is safe for everybody. I know the residents there are happy that they don't have to worry about anything else besides buying that candy and saying hi to all of the children who knock on their doors. For now, we'll send things back to you.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome in to Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and we appreciate you joining us this morning as we continue to take you through a number of news and events going on here around our region. And some tense moments in Tampa earlier today as some U.S. military veterans held a rally and protest outside MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa. They were calling on MacDill Air Force Base and the U.S. Central Command to stop shipping weapons to Israel. This comes after a UN Human Rights Council commission accused Israel of committing 4 genocidal acts against Palestinians in Gaza in the aftermath of Hamas's deadly terrorist attacks on October 7th, 2023. Multiple protesters were actually arrested in this protest earlier today when they blocked the roads into MacDill Air Force Base. Fox 13 Tampa Bay spoke with Ramon Pereira Bonilla, who was one of the protesters at that event.
The reason is genocide. We see around the world, especially in Gaza, our tax dollars being spent on bombing innocent civilians, innocent men, women, and children who did nothing wrong, who did not deserve to be at the receiving end of our weaponry, being slaughtered like animals, for simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time. While our people here suffer from homelessness, starvation, lack of health care, and so many other things, our billions, our money as workers, as taxpayers, is being spent to kill civilians. And as such, a number of veterans gathered here today to speak up, to showcase the same bravery they did when they stood up for our country to protect our rights. Now they're showing that bravery again to defend the rights of others, even though they are not Americans, because we know that what is right and what is wrong is wrong. And while I'm not a veteran myself, I stand here in honor and solidarity with my brothers and sisters who have served this country, and I'm grateful to be here. And I'm saddened to see the way they've been treated like animals simply for doing what's right. But I hope that this action inspires others, not just civilians, but also veterans who have seen wrong and want to stand up and say that no more, not in their name, not with our tax dollars.
You know, how important is it to get the other veterans out here to, basically display that message?
Yeah. Well, I can't speak for all veterans, but I can speak for the folks who I've met, and so many veterans who I've spoken to feel a deep sense of shame for the things that they've done, unfortunately, in the name of this country. It was far too late. After enlisting, they realized that they aren't serving the people, but instead they're serving the billionaires and the oligarchs who send them off to die for their profits. And so they feel like it's their duty to make up for that. It's their duty to come out here and show what it truly means to be an American, what it truly means to be a patriot. And that's why they're here. And so we ask other patriots, other Americans who are tired of seeing their money spent on lavish foreign wars, who are tired of struggling day to day simply because all of our tax dollars, all of our worker surplus is being spent to oppress those abroad. If you're tired, if you're scared, if you feel like you don't know what to do, join us. Join Vets for Peace. Join About Face. Join Vets Against the Machine. And together we can form that real people's movement, regardless of party, regardless of color, regardless of gender or sexuality. If you are against the top 1%, you are with us. That's all what it's about.
You had a number of protesters get arrested. What is your feeling on that?
Disgust, shame.
Yeah.
You have people who probably didn't even serve their country, playing all cool cops and acting like they have somehow the authority, the moral authority, to arrest our veterans for doing what's right. But this was planned. We knew that this was going to happen, and our veterans took that risk knowingly. And I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for their bravery, but they can't be the only ones. We're in a time now, we're in a place where we're seeing full-blown fascism. We're seeing our immigrant brothers and sisters being swept off the streets for thinking the wrong thing, for being at the wrong place at the wrong time. We're seeing our art as queer people be erased. It's not just about Palestine. It's not just about queer rights. It's not just about workers' rights. It's not just about immigration rights. It's about all of us. It's about how all working people are being oppressed and taken advantage of by the by the elite class, by the billionaires and by the oligarchs. And so we hope that more folks will join us, and we hope that we can build a broader movement, a movement that stands for liberation of all people, not just a select few.
And what do you hope that MacDill or CENTCOM, what message were you trying to send to them?
Open your eyes. You're not the people who you think you are. You're not here promulgating patriotism or liberal values or anything that's good for the world. You're angels of death. You might not know it, but we're here to open your eyes. It's never too late. It's never too late to put that pen down, to put that firearm down, to say no more. I will no longer launch missiles. I will no longer fuel ships. and will no longer do the things that are promulgating this genocide, not just in Gaza, but further abroad. The United States military has a presence in every single continent. It is all over all the seas. And while the things that we do in Gaza are atrocious, they are everywhere. And as such, we must recognize that the values that we believe we hold are not the values that the world is seeing be implemented. We can no longer pretend to be a bastion of liberalism, a bastion of democracy, a bastion of the people when we oppress those who simply do not look like us. We even kill and imprison our own citizens. We let other countries do that. One of our speakers spoke about a young man from Florida, a citizen of this country, who was taken into custody without charges in the West Bank. Why? Why are we letting our citizens, the people who pay our taxes, be taken away by a foreign government? So I ask, what truly is holding these people back? If it's a sense of shame, if it's a sense of guilt, we all feel it. We're all complicit in some way or another. We're not saying that we're perfect. We're just asking you to start doing the right thing. That's what it's about. That's the message we're trying to send. From the very lowest corpsman to the highest general in the Army at MacDill Air Force Base, anywhere. If you feel an ounce of guilt, an ounce of shame, please, it's never too late to turn back and do the right thing.
We're going to take a break, but we'll be right back with more Fox 35 News Plus after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We are approaching the noon hour, and around noon we do expect to hear from Governor DeSantis live speaking in Milton, Florida. That's in Santa Rosa County in the Panhandle, and expect to hear from him and the Lieutenant Governor with him as well. So we are standing by for that. We are also anticipating the departure of President Trump, leaving the United Kingdom after meeting with the Prime Minister there. And so we are monitoring a couple of things at this hour. And let me give you this live look of, well, it was Air Force One just a moment ago. Now you're seeing the tarmac there, some other planes moving along. But there is Air Force One, and we wait to see President Trump here shortly. So a couple of things that we're monitoring as we get closer to this noon hour. I do want to take you inside a Capitol Hill hearing that happened yesterday, as we heard from some Florida leaders and officials speaking during this hearing. This was a Senate Judiciary Committee, the Subcommittee on Border Security and Immigration, and they held a hearing yesterday evening on missing unaccompanied immigrant children and their criminal sponsors. Now, Senator Ashley Moody of Florida is one of the members of this subcommittee. She spoke, had time to ask some questions of the witnesses. One of the witnesses was Allie Hopper. She's the president and co-founder of Guard Against Trafficking. That is a nonprofit organization out of Venice, Florida. She spoke during this committee hearing yesterday on Capitol Hill. I want to play for you as we hear part of Ms. Hopper's opening remarks, and then we'll also hear from Senator Moody as she had the chance to ask questions of Ms. Hopper and some of the other witnesses as well.
Children were handed off with virtually no oversight, sometimes ending up with cartel-controlled sponsors. Delayed background checks allowed a registered sex offender to access children. A gang member using a false identity was assigned to place children with sponsors. Children were sent to empty fields, overcrowded apartments, and at least were sent to addresses later discovered to be strip clubs. Hundreds were routinely miscounted. Several 13 to 17-year-old girls were taken off-site to an abortion clinic without his knowledge or authorization. Some after months of being in custody, suggesting pregnancies occurred during their journey or while in facility care. Any staff who raised concerns were silenced or terminated. Failures extended to NGOs and contractors transporting the children. The Association for the Recovery of Children documented multiple ORR violations while observing a charter flight of migrant children that arrived in Tennessee. Joey, a former MVM site supervisor, reported staff raising concerns about children crying and not knowing their sponsors. When he questioned the screening process, he was told to stay in his lane, while upper management reportedly said, "We are going to have to start flying some of these kids overseas. There aren't enough sponsors and we need to get them out of here." But transportation was only part of the problem. Once children were placed, oversight disappeared. Post-placement welfare frequently failed, leaving over 300,000 children unaccounted for. Recently, we discovered roughly 117 children were trafficked to a Midwest farm, some arriving at schools with STDs or pregnant. Our intervention has triggered a criminal investigation. The risks to children are reflected in the increasingly sophisticated methods cartels use to operate undetected. A former trafficker we interviewed explained that while smuggling fees have doubled, operations have largely shifted underground, waiting until this administration's term ends. Cartels now rely on elaborate tunnels, some running beneath the Rio Grande River, designed and built by migrants with specialized engineering skills who were coerced into cartel ranks. Cartels are also expanding beyond sexual exploitation, forced labor, and organ harvesting into the trafficking of newborns. NGOs in Mexico have facilitated transfers, providing false papers and concealing the circumstances of the adoption. Journalist Katarina Schools told us of a horrific trend in Juarez, Mexico, where pregnant women are kidnapped, their babies are forcibly extracted, the mothers are left to die, and the babies are sold for illegal adoption in El Paso. It is essential to back current efforts to secure the border, locate missing children, and investigate criminal networks while
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us. It is noon, and we do expect to hear shortly from Governor Ron DeSantis speaking at Whiting Aviation Park in Milton, Florida. We will bring that to you live when it begins. In the meantime, we were listening to Ali Hopper, who's the president and co-founder of a nonprofit anti-human trafficking organization out of Venice, Florida. This was from that hearing yesterday on Capitol Hill that was looking at undocumented immigrant children and their criminal sponsors. A Senate Judiciary Subcommittee, excuse me, Senator Ashley Moody of Florida, one of the members of that committee. We also heard from her. She had the chance to ask some questions of those witnesses testifying during that hearing. Here is what she had to say when it was her time and she had the floor in that Senate hearing yesterday.
Thank you so much, and thank you for holding this hearing. I think it's incredibly important as we move forward. I was very concerned, not planning on heading down this road, but it shocked me to my core to hear the testimony Miss Gia Vagnoli, that Trump claimed kids went missing.
Mm-hmm.
As Attorney General in the state of Florida and working with law enforcement around our state and litigating constantly against the Biden administration as they broke down the border and put kids in jeopardy and began to legally traffic children. Well, let me rephrase that. Under the auspices of legality, traffic children around the United States. We were afraid that would be a claim. Because sometimes when things get into a partisan world of discussion, people think it's made up. And that's why I was so fascinated with the results of a grand jury investigation that we conducted in Florida, and I was the Attorney General. Mm-hmm. And that is a grand jury, for those that don't know, is not Republicans or Democrats, it's just lay people that give up their time to come and listen to testimony and witnesses and produce a report. And the report was shocking. And this was in the middle of the Biden administration. The statewide grand jury on this particular issue found that the Biden administration, over the course of the administration, but even in a short period of time, over a 10-month period, they lost thousands of children. When they investigated, they found that they were put into situations where they were abused. Children were running away from sponsors, sold for sex, sent to empty lots, a strip club in one instance. One teenage girl was placed with the house of an unknown man. She had no idea who the person was. And summarily, they found that the Biden administration was facilitating the forced trafficking of children. I mean, you can't put it any other way. I'm not saying that. A grand jury found that. And what was shocking, it's the first time I've heard it until today, was to hear from you, Mr. Clem, and that was even before I heard of the allegation that Trump is claiming the Biden administration lost thousands of children, which I can't believe you can sit there and say that with a straight face. But that you, when you got into office, you said, this report cannot be ignored. What happened to it? Did they even get it? And indeed, you found they did get it. And that was a sign for someone to review to determine if it was, in fact, happening. Is that right?
That's correct.
And as a result of your allegations, or your direction, they found that not only was it happening, it continued throughout the administration.
Just for clarification, when the initial report came from Florida, the Becerra-led HHS reviewed it. Some of the political leaders there were briefed on this, but nothing was done. It just sat there. There was no meaningful action that we could determine that happened after that. So when I was briefed on that in late January and early February this year, I said, wait a second, we need to update this and verify this. So we conducted a second review, and we corroborated everything that the initial HHS review corroborated, and then some. So 2 strikes on this one, yeah. In a good way for us on this, because we're finding the mistakes and we're finding ways to solve them.
And I want to commend the hard work that you've been doing. In fact, we've already made some progress in recognizing that this is a child welfare issue and that these children need some sort of a structure. In fact, when we were doing recent legislation here federally, we tied some of that funding to active cooperation with state child welfare agencies, because the states are the ones that deal with child welfare and stability within their states. I know some states and even lawmakers wanted to turn a blind eye to what's going on, and now they just want to focus on the last 8 months and just forget about the fact that all of those administration officials knew what was going on, not only looked into it, verified it, but then buried it. And was that at the same time when you had administration officials coming to testify to lawmakers here and saying nothing to see, everything's fine?
I don't know the answer to that, but I know that report and that study was done in late 2023, so that I couldn't answer in the affirmative or negative on that timeline.
Well, we had already some progress. We've tied funding now to making sure that if funding goes to these states, that they've got to cooperate with child welfare. That's important. I was proud to get that done over the summer. But I've also introduced a Stop Gaps Act, which would require ORR to work with states and local authorities to guarantee that anyone granted custody of an unaccompanied minor is properly vetted. I want to add to making sure we're coordinating with state authorities, but now make sure there's vetting in place as well. Hopefully the state authorities are already doing that. So I would invite, if truly we want to engage in a bipartisan way, I would invite anyone to sign on to this bipartisan legislation to make sure that children are going to properly vetted homes, and that those that are trained to deal with child welfare are given the responsibility and knowledge. In fact, the real challenge for states like Florida that wanted to do this and wanted to ensure that these children were looked after and not sold, we know they ended up many times into forced labor as well, they wouldn't give us any information. We pleaded. We held grand juries. We asked we asked the government to send people to testify. Just send us documents. They stonewalled us. And so the only way the states are going to be able to protect children is if they have the information, not if people are flown in and by the cover of darkness, not if they're snuck into nonprofits and then let to go whoever shows up to pick them up. There has to be accountability. So again, I would ask my colleagues, Stop Gaps Act. I think it'll go a long way to ensuring the safety of children.
That was Senator Ashley Moody there yesterday. It looks like this ceremony is getting underway at the Whiting Aviation Center, celebrating the grand opening of the Florida Support Center. Let's go ahead and listen in here as this event gets underway.
It's a great honor to welcome you to this very special day as we cut the ribbon and officially open the new Leonardo helicopter facility here in Santa Rosa County, Florida. This is more than just the opening of a building. It represents new opportunities, new partnerships, and a bright future for the community and our state. And speaking of our state, we are especially grateful to have with us Governor Ron DeSantis. Governor, your leadership and commitment to business growth, job creation, and innovation in the great state of Florida is invaluable. And thank you for your support, and thank you for being here today to celebrate this important milestone with us. I also want to recognize Clyde Woltman. He's the CEO of Leonardo Helicopters US. Clyde, your vision and your trust in Santa Rosa County make this day possible. We're proud to stand with you in opening a facility that will set new standards of excellence in aviation and strengthen the economic future of our county. A project of this scale doesn't come together without dedication and teamwork. I want to thank our Economic Development Director, Shannon Ogletree, for his leadership throughout this process, as well as his outstanding staff, Karen and Bridget, and he's got a new one, Jackie. Your commitment and hard work and vision brought this program together from the drawing board to reality, and we're deeply grateful for your service. Today's ribbon cutting represents more than the opening of a door. It represents opportunity for our citizens through good paying jobs, opportunity for our businesses, our workforce, to continue growing while welcoming a world-class company like Leonardo into our community. So, with the support of our state leaders, our economic development team, and the leadership at Leonardo Helicopters, this facility is not just opening. Like I said, it's launching opportunities. So at this time, without further ado, I want to introduce our Master of Ceremonies. He's not only the Master of Ceremonies, as I said earlier, he's the CEO of Leonardo Helicopter US, and he's a good friend, and I'm looking forward to him being an exercise partner because he is my hero. Clyde Woltman.
Okay, that was a good introduction. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, good morning, everybody. It is with immense pride and deep appreciation that I welcome you to the long-anticipated grand opening of the Leonardo Helicopters Florida Support Center. We have many guests here today, a lot of close friends here, and I'd like to recognize one distinguished guest, particularly a fellow Marine, General William L. Nyland Spider, United States Marine Corps retired, the 29th Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps. General, good to have you. Today marks more than the unveiling of a new facility. This is a statement of our commitment to innovation, to operational excellence, and to our customers. This facility reflects the vision, collaboration, and the kind of teamwork that defines the very best of Leonardo and our partners. We extend our deepest thanks to Santa Rosa County for your steadfast support. Your unwavering belief in this vision turned a plan into a community success story. To Space Florida, your leadership in advancing aerospace innovation in this state has created an environment where projects like this don't just happen, they flourish. To Naval Air Station Whiting Field and the United States Navy, your trust in Leonardo is a responsibility we hold with the highest regard. To be a partner in training the next generation of rotary and tilt-rotor naval aviators is an honor that fuels our commitment to excellence. To HPM Construction, whose leadership, attention to detail, and superb management of some of the best contractors in this country brought this center to life. Thank you. The fact that this project was completed on time and frankly below budget says everything about you, as well as a safety culture that permeated the entire project. 154 days, calendar days, with as many as 175 people on site in one day, with no injuries. I'm aware that Green Hut played a large role in that, and all the many contractors that all participated in this really contribute to that, so I really thank you all for that key role in establishing and maintaining a safety culture. To Governor Ron DeSantis, Lieutenant Governor Jay Cowlins, and their administration, your recognition of the importance of aerospace and defense has been critical in bringing opportunities like this to Florida. Your vision has positioned this state as a leader in the industry, and we are proud to contribute to that legacy. To our Leonardo leadership teammates, some of whom are here today, particularly Vittorio Della Bella and Stefano Volanti, your presence sends a clear message to all. And joining us from Leonardo Helicopter, from Leonardo US, were my teammates, Chairman Tom Smitham and President Francesco Norante. Welcome all. Good to have you here. And to the Leonardo Helicopters team, this is your achievement. Your skill, dedication, and pride are the heartbeat of this facility. Thank you. I'd also like to recognize one individual who's played a constant role throughout this project. Many of you worked side by side with him, Mr. Terry Eichmann. I have to call him out. Terry worked throughout the projects, all aspects of the project at all levels. And a personal thanks to Terry for the success. This center is a symbol of Leonardo's enduring commitment. Okay, thank you. Try to minimize it. Okay. The center is a symbol of Leonardo's enduring commitment to the United States and to our customers. With its launch, we strengthen our U.S. presence, enhance service proximity, and reaffirm our promise to deliver performance, reliability, and rapid response where it's needed most. With this ideal location next to Naval Air Station Whiting Field, this facility is purpose-built to support the Navy's TH-73 Alpha training fleet. With 130 aircraft in active service, each of which, by the way, was built in our Philadelphia facility, our dedicated team here ensures mission readiness through expert maintenance, logistics, technical support. This project is an example of what can be achieved when private industry and national defense come together with purpose and precision. Our support doesn't stop with a single aircraft platform. At Leonardo, our mindset is not to build machines, but to deliver mission-ready solutions. From military readiness to civil and emergency response missions, we are both meeting the operational requirements of our partners and shaping the future of vertical flight. And that innovation extends far beyond product design. It includes how we train, how we support, and how we anticipate tomorrow's needs. That's what makes this facility so special. Inside these walls, we've brought together advanced tooling, top-tier maintenance capabilities, and world-class technical staff, all dedicated to maximizing uptime and mission success for our customers, both in the U.S. and abroad. Our global vision from Italy to more than 150 countries comes together right here in Santa Rosa.
the late Don Salter, who's no longer with us, former Commissioner Dave Peach, Commissioner Sam Parker, Lane Lynchard, and Commissioner Bob Cole. Thank you for your foresight and your leadership years ago. Thank you to Ryan and Kelvin and the hardworking team at Green Hut Construction, Jeff Helms and the folks over at Moffitt Nickel, Shannon and the small but mighty Economic Development team in Santa Rosa County, Rebecca, Tambry, and everyone in County Engineering, Inspections, Brad, Jared, those of you in County Administration that helped, and everyone who stayed flexible and worked so hard to get us here today. This project could not have been done without collaboration of local, state, and federal funding and our friends at Triumph Gulf Coast to build out this entire industrial site you see before you today. This is truly proof that public and private partnerships build successful ventures and a strong return on investment for taxpayers. We're working closely with Pensacola State College and our other friends at other schools to ensure specialized training to maintain a flow of qualified A&P mechanics. And we're working side by side with Leonardo to harness the talent of so many veterans that call Northwest Florida home. Their military service and experience translates to a motivated and disciplined workforce, exactly what Leonardo is looking for. Santa Rosa County is committed to our military, and we are committed to Leonardo. This project is just the beginning, folks. We look forward to continued success and growth with Leonardo and making Santa Rosa County a leader in Florida as we turn the Gulf Coast into an aerospace corridor. Hang on, folks. It's going to be a great ride. We're just taking off.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it. Next, we are honored to welcome Robert Long, President and CEO of Space Florida. With more than 25 years of leadership across the aerospace industry, Colonel Long is helping position Florida as a premier hub for space commerce. His vision and partnership are critical to advancing innovation across the state, including milestones like the one we're celebrating here today. Please join me in welcoming Robert Long.
Well, thank you, Clyde, and it's a great introduction, but more importantly, it's just an honor to be here today in this amazing facility and celebrating this milestone in Florida's aerospace industry. I'll echo thanks, a huge thank you to so many partners that are in this room and those that are across the state. Santa Rosa County, your leadership team, and all those that work here are amazing to work with. Team NAS Whiting, thank you very much for all your support. Of course, Clyde and the entire Leonardo team, just amazing to work with. Especially considering the ambitious scale of this project when we first scoped it out. Thanks for taking that journey with us. We certainly appreciate it. And of course, I can't say enough. I'm incredibly thankful for the leadership and tremendous support. Governor DeSantis, Lieutenant Governor Collins, and all of our state leaders here in the room and elsewhere. They provide us that support that we really need to take the full measure of state resources to develop a nation-leading aerospace industry. And so it's with those such tremendous partners and leaders, it's no doubt why Florida is home to the most complete aerospace ecosystem in the country. Our continued investment in this ecosystem is proof of what we already know. Florida is where aerospace companies can get everything they need to grow, thrive, and create technology that will define the future. Our state has built an environment where aerospace activities are not just welcomed, but accelerated, where partnerships with world-leading aerospace companies like Leonardo aren't exceptions, they're the norm, and where infrastructure and resources exist not just to keep pace with industry, but to set the pace alongside industry. And so it's no surprise that a global leader like Leonardo chose to base these activities right here in the hotbed of military aviation, Northwest Florida. It sends a clear signal. Florida has the vision, the talent, and the infrastructure to support their long-term success. So I'm thrilled to be here today and celebrate this opening of the new Florida Support Center. These partnerships are at the heart of what we do. But the significance of this project goes beyond the immediate investment. It's about ensuring the mission partners have what they need to support and prepare the aviators who are vital to our nation's defense, right here at the backbone of naval aviation training. As we celebrate this milestone today, we also look to the future. This facility represents not only what we've accomplished together, but a strong foundation for what comes next. On behalf of Space Florida, congratulations to Leonardo, the Navy, and numerous partners across Santa Rosa County. Today's ribbon cutting is not just a celebration of great partnerships, but a celebration of a new and critical piece in the fabric of Florida's aerospace industry. We are truly proud to have been a part of such a great collaboration and look forward to many more in the years to come. Thank you.
Joining us now is Captain Ted Thumbs Elkins, Commanding Officer, Naval Air Station, Whiting Field. As a decorated naval aviator and a respected leader, Captain Elkins oversees and supports one of the Navy's most critical training commands. His support and collaboration are vital to the success of this community and to projects like this new facility. Please welcome Captain Ted Elkins.
Good morning, everyone. Clyde, thank you very much for that welcome, and thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in celebrating this huge milestone for Santa Rosa County and for Leonardo. To advance a project like the Whiting Aviation Park, it takes a team. It requires a determined attitude, it requires a vision, and I have to say, when your neighbor is the U.S. government, the federal government, it also takes a little bit of patience. Piano, piano. Trust me, we're worth the wait. But embracing the spirit of our intrepid namesake, Captain Kenneth Whiting, many, many folks have worked and toiled, planned, replanned over the last 24 years to bring this day into fruition. Today is a celebration and honor of their hard work and vision. Leonardo's compatible development in the Whiting Aviation Park presents a win-win, both for the Navy and our county. Having a world-class company in our backyard will be a huge boost for the local economy, while also advancing the aviation support capabilities for our mission of producing naval aviators at NAS Whiting Field. Thank you, Santa Rosa County leaders, both past and present, for pioneering this effort. This will bring terrific aviation job opportunities to our community. A rising tide lifts all boats, and similarly, the economic development this air park brings will improve quality of life for everyone in Northwest Florida, to include our military families while stationed here at Whiting Field. So that excites us. Thank you, Governor DeSantis, for your leadership and your support in making this groundbreaking initiative possible. Thank you, Clyde and the Leonardo team, for establishing this footprint here in Santa Rosa County, for your commitment to providing us safe and reliable aircraft to train the future of naval aviation for the U.S. Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and for our allies and partners who will earn their wings of gold here at Whiting Field. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Our next speaker is Florida's 46th Governor, Ron DeSantis. A Navy veteran, former congressman, and now governor, he has guided Florida through historic growth and achievement. His vision for economic strength and community partnerships has paved the way for opportunity like today's grand opening. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Governor Ron DeSantis.
It's a great day to be in Santa Rosa County and a great day to be in the free state of Florida. So I'm excited about being here. We've worked, with Leonardo. Clyde, he's been in my office in Tallahassee. We were at Leonardo in Italy when we did that trade mission. We see him in the Paris Air Show when everyone and their brother goes to that. And so, but we've built a really good relationship with the company because we understand the opportunities that we have, particularly in Northwest Florida. You have the best military community across these bases with the active duty, but then the veterans who stay here of any place in the United States of America, as far as I'm concerned. And so that provides opportunities to really advance the ball in industries like the defense sector. And so we were happy to have done a couple years ago a $4.2 million grant to Santa Rosa County through our Job Growth Grant Fund. and that supported the connection of Naval Air Station Whiting Field to Whiting Aviation Park. And that's been a big positive, and we're happy to have done it. We also helped engineer another $500,000 through our Defense Industrial Grant Program to Santa Rosa County for the aviation park and the double entry gate system that connects NAS. And we're proud to do that. We believe in infrastructure. We believe in all that stuff. We have also been able to expand relations with some of these companies based, in this case, in Italy, like Leonardo. We were over there in November doing a trade mission. You know, people always ask me, did you go get to do this? Did you guys? No, basically, I did meetings for 3 or 4 days. I did make sure that we would get good lunches and dinners, and the food there is very good. I was able to go through the Sistine Chapel with my kids, and it was, you know, we're there and we're getting this great tour. And, you know, my kids are young, so after like 10 minutes of that, they were less interested. So my son was pretending, and he's now in 2nd grade. He was in 1st grade at the time. He was pretending to play a football game in the Sistine Chapel. So he's running plays and all that. So we did that, but we were basically doing meetings and building relationships. And Leonardo has been great. We told Prime Minister Maloney that because of all these companies, and Leonardo's one, you know, you have some of these high-end automotive companies like Ferrari and stuff. They sell the wealthy people, and Florida's one of their biggest markets. The boating and the yachts and all that stuff that's done, massive market in Florida. So we told her, you know, we were going to open a trade office in Milan, and I can tell you that visit was in November. Here we are the next year, and that trade office in Milan is open. So I want to thank our folks in Florida Commerce for getting that done. But if you think about Florida, we've been ranked #1 economy 3 years in a row by CNBC. We are #1 in the nation for public higher education. And I'll tell you, University of West Florida, you now have a great president, Manny Diaz. That's going to be sky's the limit there. I'm telling you, you're going to see a lot of good things there. We were ranked by Lightcast the #1 in the nation for talent development and recruitment. Just this week, they announced 3 years in a row for Florida. And according to this scorecard, we're home to 7 of the top 10 large MSAs in the nation. Miami 3, Orlando 4, Crestview, Fort Walton, Destin 5, Bradenton, Sarasota 7, Tampa, St. Pete 8, Lakeland, Winter Haven 9, and Naples, Marco Island 10. Our GDP is $1.7+ trillion. You know, that's more than the vast majority of countries throughout the rest of the world. So today's announcement, I think, is incredible. The ribbon cutting is going to be very exciting to do, but then the footprint, the economic footprint, the industry footprint, these are good jobs. These are positive industries. You have all these great people who work in the military, who are working different things, focusing on defense in this area. There's going to be a great talent pipeline that's going to be able to come here. So we're very bullish on this project. We know it's going to be 150 highway to the state, and they see the beaches, and then they're like, well, you know, I've never seen beaches that nice before, so maybe this is a place I want to be. So I think you're going to continue to see really positive results from this. So I want to thank everybody that's been involved. You know, we're happy to have played a small role in helping with the park here. And we're happy to do even more in the future. So thanks for everybody that's been involved, and let's go get them. It's going to be exciting.
Thank you, Governor. Lastly, we are honored to welcome Florida's Lieutenant Governor, Jay Collins, a decorated Army Special Forces veteran and dedicated public servant. Lieutenant Governor Collins has been a tireless champion for Florida's families, veterans, and communities. His leadership has been key in ensuring Florida remains a state where projects like this can thrive. Please welcome Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins.
Well, it is so great to be here today. It's always good to be around the family business, the military. For those of you who serve, the family members in this space, thank you for what you do. We owe everything to our military. We owe everything to your sacrifice. Thank you for this. Getting to be a part of this ribbon cutting is incredible because of what it means. When you look around this room, you see veterans, you see law enforcement, you see business leaders from across the country, from across the world. What does it really mean? It means that Florida continues to grow. Florida continues to do things that other states aren't doing right now. Why is that? Well, I think it comes from the top. We're blessed to have a governor like Governor DeSantis who understands that it's about deeds, not words. It's about getting things done. What is our focus? Our focus is on excellence, working with partners like Leonardo, people who are experts, the best at what they do in their sector, people like Alex from Commerce, an absolute hammer, getting things done, building the next generation, building that next layer for our future. Whiting Aviation Park is focused on bringing high-skilled jobs, investment, economic growth to Florida's great Northwest. What does that mean to our military community? When you retire, you come here for the beaches, but you build a foundation. You stay here. And to whom much is given, much is required. I believe our state and our nation are better when our veterans are happy, healthy, and involved in that next ridgeline. To me, more than anything else, that's what this is. This is the next ridgeline for Leonardo. It is the next ridgeline for many of our military and veterans as they build families, careers, and lives here in Florida. And it's the next ridgeline for the great state of Florida, because we continue to lead, continue to step up when others perhaps will not. You know what's interesting? Not so long ago, I think almost every state would have had a governor and lieutenant governor who were both veterans. Right now, Florida is the only state like that. Our focus is laser-sighted. It's on making it better, because ultimately, and I'm going to speak for myself, but I have a sneaking suspicion that our great governor probably agrees with me on this as well. It's not about us. It's about our kids. It's about our nation. It's about our state. It's about leaving it better than we got it. And opportunities like this are how we build generational impact for the great state of Florida. So thank you for your courage and commitment. Thank you for your relationship with the great state of Florida. And thank you for being here today. Thank you, and God bless.
Well, thanks first of all to our distinguished guests or speakers for your words and your partnership. At this time, it's time for us to officially open the facility. So if I could ask my guest speakers to come in front here of the lectern, as well as Stefano Volanti and Vittorio Della Bella to come forward, we will officially cut the ribbon. So, and we can bring our cameras forward if you'd like.
getting ready to take off in Air Force One, leaving the United Kingdom on their way back to the White House. So this is live images you are looking at right now after the president's visit there lasted several days. Held a news conference with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom earlier today, and is now getting ready to come back home to the United States. So again, we are continuing to monitor that. I do want to play for you, though, something that some remarks yesterday here in Orlando, as we heard from three-time Olympic gold medalist Misty May Traynor, who spoke yesterday at the 7th annual Celebrating Women in Sports Luncheon. That's an event held by the Greater Orlando Sports Commission. They honored several award winners during that luncheon yesterday, and their keynote speaker was three-time Olympic gold medalist volleyball player Misty May Traynor, and reporters had a chance to speak with her ahead of that speech. Here's what she said about the importance of that event and what we see with a growing number of excellent women in sports who are contributing so much to our Central Florida community.
Well, how exciting it is to be here and a part of an event that is recognizing women in sports and leadership, especially in Central Florida, when we actually are the volleyball champions around the Valkyries.
I know, and they're coming back, you know, so the pro league's going strong. It's nice to be back in Florida. We used to live on the the east coast of Florida, so we used to have a house in Coral Springs, so I miss Florida a lot. I think I'm one of the few that love the humidity, but
Yes.
always great to be back in Florida, and especially celebrating women in sport. You know, women have come a long way in business and in sports, so to be able to celebrate them is fantastic. So I was very excited to be here and honored that they thought of me.
How different is the women in sports, not only like playing, but in leadership roles? Back then, when you started playing volleyball to now, have you seen the evolution?
Oh, it's grown. Money has grown. You know, the young players, and especially in college now, they have the NIL. So a lot of female players are getting the chance for advertising opportunities, allowing them to make more money probably than we made. You know, collectively, I say, can we go back in time? You know, but. So, you know, the opportunities for the young women, you've got NIL, you have pro leagues here for soccer too, and swimming, and, you know, there's so many pro opportunities here in the United States. That's great, and for just women all over the world. So it's a bright future. And, you know, I always go back because when we started, especially for beach volleyball, I feel Carrie and I laid the foundation from where it was. By winning our first gold medal, kind of put women's beach volleyball on the map. Not saying it wasn't there before, because there's so many veterans that we looked up to and I partnered with that carried, you know, that torch before us. But we put the sport, I think, on the map with winning the first and then doing it, you know, 3 times. I, knock on wood, don't think that record will ever be broken. At least I hope not, but I don't see it being broken. But it takes me back to when I did a report on my grandmother. I think it was elementary school, and her generation didn't have the opportunity to play sports. They were told, you'll hurt yourself, you know, it's not for women. So from that report, when I did it in elementary school, to where women are now, night and day.
Going back to, you know, your grandmother's story in the report, did you ever have a moment where you think the doors were kind of closing in on you? Obviously, opportunities came, but I assume there had to be some challenges along the way.
I think there's certainly always challenges. No is a big challenge, right? You're told no. I remember playing soccer, and I had to play on co-ed teams. So now my daughters are 7, and they have an all-girls team. So, but growing up when I was their age, it was co-ed team. So it made me tougher. I'm not going to say diving in and playing with the boys, and Carrie and I trained against her husband and different men's teams. That made us tougher. But at the end, I think the biggest challenge was hearing no. But then, you know, you take that no and you turn it around. Right? So.
Did you know that you were making history, or were you just so focused on your craft and your sport, or did any of that cross your mind while it was happening?
I haven't really had a chance to look back on it until now. So now I actually get to enjoy. I'm like, wow, we did amazing things. It's taken that long, you know, from my first Olympic Games in 2000, when Holly and I barely scraped by and made it. You know, everybody has a 2-year process to qualify for Olympics. Holly and I had 8 tournaments. So my first Olympic Games was in 2000, and failing there, I think, made that fire in me to want to do better. And then looking back from 04 all the way till now, like I said, I think Carrie and I we've done amazing things that I don't think will be broken. And like I said, hopefully not. But it's taken me that long to actually sit back and enjoy it and really dive in and watch the videos and say, wow, we were good. So I think and I think that comes with, to be great, you have to have a certain amount of tunnel vision, you know, and it's just, you don't get to really enjoy it until you take the blinders off, and finally the blinders are kind of falling off.
How has having daughters yourself sort of shifted your perspective on what you've done and maybe the doors you've opened even for them?
I enjoy watching them grow, and I hate to say this, in a sport that I don't play. It's nice. It's eventually, you know, we'll get them in volleyball, but I don't want to coach them, even though I took over some of the coaching role for soccer. But it's nice to learn about different sports, like gymnastics. I never thought, I had a friend that owned a gymnastics studio, her parents did growing up, and I knew about it, but I never thought in a million years I'd be in the gymnastics world. And here we are. So I'm learning about sports, you know, that I didn't know about. Soccer, I love soccer, miss soccer, wish I could have played soccer longer. So that sport isn't new to me, but the opportunities that they have. And I mean, she's in 6th grade, our oldest one, and we're already traveling around and doing camps at different colleges, which I think is neat. You know, a lot of when I was growing up, my family didn't have the opportunity to go to camps at different universities and see what was out there, what the possibilities were out there. I'm one of the, excuse me, I'm like one of 2 that went to college in my family. So for me, it's very important that they get into that environment to see what else is out there.
Do you think your girls have even realized the impact that you've had? I know she asked, you know, like if that you paved the way for them, but are they at an age where they can actually process that, like, mom is one of the women out there who's made this possible for me?
So recently, we have twins that are 7, have gone around and told people that mom and dad are famous. And we're like, we're not famous. We're not famous. But yeah, so I think they see trophies around the house, and they see the medals, and they've seen dad on TV, you know, with games, and then Olympic Channel will play our games, so we'll put it on, and so now we're famous. But we're like, we're really not famous. So.
When you talked about the NIL, I think that's very interesting, and is actually a little bit debatable. So do you agree 100%, or do you know, because now, back then maybe, you know, you were a trailblazer, right? But now there's more competition, more attention, and it not necessarily could be a positive thing. What do you think?
This is a whole lot, and it goes even back to social media, but I'm not a big transfer portal advocate, and I'm not a big NIL. And the only reason, it's nice that the athletes are able to get money, but I think it takes a team sport into that individual aspect, which I'm not a fan, you know. And then it goes back to social media. Why? Because NIL, they're looking how many likes you have and how popular you are. So it takes the team aspect, I think, disperses it a little bit to more the individual athlete. So I'm not a huge fan of it. And then it hurts some of the other schools. Like I went to Long Beach State. We don't have a football team, you know. So are you going to be able to get players from the transfer portal that are getting paid from other universities? So I would like to say that there should be different, I don't want to say conferences, but different levels of play, because you have some of the bigger schools that can afford players that some of the smaller schools, you'll never be able to maybe get the championships that the bigger schools do because they can't afford the players. So it kind of encompasses everything, but I'm not a huge fan of the NIL, and I'm not a huge fan of the transfer portal.
Missy, what would be your message to a city like Orlando that already has women's sports and women that are here getting honored, and maybe to other cities that don't have women's sports yet but want to get more women's leagues and get more involved in this realm of sports?
You know, I think what the Greater Orlando Sports Commission is doing is great. There's a huge team, and they're big advocates, right? A lot of businesses are involved, and I think cities that want to take on more professional women's teams, you've got to build a great team. You've got to get those sponsorships. You've got to get the masterminds behind it, and they've been able to do that here in Orlando.
We talked about the opportunities for women as athletes, like these leagues that are being created, the investment there, but it's not lost on me that everybody interviewing here is also a woman somewhere in sports. I guess, how have you seen those opportunities grow, and why is it important to see women who maybe aren't playing? Like, I wasn't the best athlete, but I grew up loving sports, to find avenues for women in those areas as well.
I think, you know, it's like you said, you weren't the best athlete, and it doesn't matter, you know, as long as you're enjoying it, you enjoy sports. This just shows that even after you step off the playing field, there's a different avenue, right? Where you're still in that sport. It keeps you going, you know? So you're still thinking sports, you're still interacting, and I think it's a great avenue that's been laid out for not only you, but even when I tune into television, watching the women in the NFL, you know, the sideline reporters, and, you know, hockey, Linda Cohen does a great job, you know? So just being able to have that presence, it just allows you, for those sports enthusiasts, to step off the playing field and know that there's another avenue.
What would your words of, last question here, what would your words of encouragement be to the team that we have here as you continue to expand and coach indoor soccer, indoor volleyball, you know, what would your words of encouragement to them be as they're just really leading the way here in Orlando?
I think just the sky's the limit, right? You put ideas out there, whether they're good ideas or bad ideas, once you have a goal, kind of put those blinders back on, right? And spearhead it. There's nothing wrong with being a leader in the industry, right? Don't take a back seat and be the first one. You know, be the first one to try. It can only get better.
That was Misty May Trainer speaking at that event yesterday and covering a lot of topics there as well. Well, it is 1:02 here, and we appreciate you joining us on Fox 35 News Plus. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I want to get you inside this news conference going on live right now on Capitol Hill as several Senate Democrats are talking about a proposed bill centering on free speech. This is a Representative This is Jason Crow, a Democrat from Colorado. He is represents the 6th district of in Colorado. He is actually a member of Congress. That is Chris Murphy, senator from Connecticut, who is back up at the podium. They're taking some questions about this bill. Let's go ahead and listen in for a couple of minutes here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Should he be impeached? That is potential motion on the floor that could be accepted for House members especially. Number two, what is Democrats' responsibility for the rhetoric right now? We heard your former member, I'm sorry that he left, talk about fascism, saying we're having fascism now. We know the suspected shooter in Utah had the word fascist on supposedly one of the rounds of artillery. Republicans say that Democrats are part of the problem right now because of using words like Nazis and fascists. Those are the two questions.
Well, listen, we have to tell the truth. And the truth is hard to hear right now. The truth is that Donald Trump is trying to destroy our democracy. He is trying to silence free speech. He is acting in a way that is scarily similar to many would-be despots all across this world, all across history, who have tried to transition a country from democracy to autocracy. And so we have no obligation to sugarcoat the gravity of this moment. The only way we save this nation is if the people of this country rise up in peaceful protest, if they mobilize all across America. These companies won't really think twice about their money grab until they know that the American people are firmly on the side of protecting free speech. And so the only way that you build that kind of mobilization is to tell the truth. So this is another tried and true tactic of despots, is that they label any criticism of them as hate speech or terrorism or incitement to violence. This is how democracies disappear, is that you allow the regime to create terminology that essentially invalidates the ability to speak truth to power. And we're just not going to let them silence us. I don't know if you want to take the, yeah, great. All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody.
That news conference wrapping up there as several Senate Democrats and a member of Congress as well talking about a bill centering on free speech, and you heard them talking about the rhetoric as well. Meanwhile, here in Central Florida today, some new billboards honoring Charlie Kirk are beginning to go up in Brevard County. City of Melbourne Mayor Paul Alfrey was on Good Day Orlando this morning to talk about that.
So I want to mention that you posted, quote, "He will not be forgotten in Melbourne."
Right.
Why did you decide on billboards specifically as a way to honor Charlie Kirk?
Well, that was actually a local businessman, business owner, and who's I've known for many years. That's a Christian, and he decided to put those up and pay for those. So they're not being paid with tax dollars, I think. But we have a strong Christian community who believe in Christian values, and he's one of them. And he wanted to put those billboards up across the county.
And you were sharing that post in support of these billboards. What's your hope for maybe people visiting your city or the residents there that happen to, drive past these billboards on their morning commute?
Well, Charlie Kirk had millions of followers and young followers, and he had a movement like really we've not seen, going on to college campuses and a dialogue. So, the fact is, we have residents and people that live in the city of Melbourne that follow Charlie Kirk, even like I did. So, again, that's what we all saw with his execution on the internet was just was horrible, and I think most of us all agree with that. And so it's really a way to honor Charlie Kirk.
And I did take a look at some of the reactions on your Facebook post you shared about the billboards. Some residents seem to be in great support of this move. Others say they're a little bit confused about Kirk's connection to the city of Melbourne. What's your message to the residents that perhaps are against putting them up?
Well, people are going to ask that, but I worked with another council member, Tim Thomas, to name a road after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And that was some of the arguments that what is his connection? He didn't live in the city of Melbourne, but he still had a connection. The residents had a connection with Dr. King, like a lot of our residents have a connection to Charlie Kirk.
Now, you're also hoping to rename a street after Charlie Kirk. You just mentioned a little bit of that. What will that process look like?
It will come before council next week. I'll make a presentation, and we'll see if my fellow council members, will accept that. I think that it's the right thing to do. I know a lot of people are against it, but most of the people against it don't even live in the city of Melbourne. I've had a lot of support from business owners and people that live in the city of Melbourne that would like to see this happen.
Do you believe that other cities here in Florida and across the country should be doing something similar?
Every city is different. So what I try not to do is tell other cities what they need to do, because I believe every city should represent its community. And I am a mayor that focuses on fighting for the First Amendment speech of people I don't even agree with. And that is well documented. And I will continue. And that's something that Charlie Kirk did, was he believed in free speech and dialogue. So we'll see what other cities do.
And final question for you, Mayor. When that first billboard does go up, what will you be doing?
Probably working, but like to go see it. And I'm sure, we'll see what the reaction with the community will be. And again, that's paid for by a local Christian businessman, and he has a right for his freedom of speech as well. He does a lot. AJ Hires does a lot in this community. And again, that's his decision.
We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us this afternoon live on Fox Local and on YouTube. A lot of conversation and discussion about the vaccines in recent days and recent weeks. We know the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices is meeting right now and talking about the potentially changing the schedule when it comes to children's vaccines. That is something that has been talked about here in Florida as well, with our Surgeon General raising some questions about that, and the state looking to push to get rid of all vaccine mandates here in the state. The Surgeon General has also said that he is in favor of banning the mRNA COVID-19 vaccines. We heard from a University of South Florida doctor who is responding to these pushes against the mRNA vaccines. It's Dr. Michael Tang, who's a USF Health Associate Professor of Medicine, again at the University of South Florida. He, in this interview with our friends at Fox 13 Tampa Bay, praised the efforts of Operation Warp Speed in the first Trump administration that developed that pandemic vaccine within 11 months, a remarkable feat. He also outlines reasons why COVID vaccine developments were so much faster than traditional vaccines, and lays out his concerns with what he calls Dr. Ladapo's crusade against vaccines. Here's this doctor defending these mRNA vaccines as they come under fire.
I think the problem is that the Surgeon General wants to ban this vaccine, and I think even more generally, he's on some sort of crusade against the mRNA vaccines in particular. I don't really understand the reasons for that. A lot of these technologies are new. Even the technology in the Novavax vaccine is new technology. It's a protein-based vaccine, but the way that they've put it together is a very new way that they put it together. It's the first vaccine of its kind on the market. The J&J vaccine, for example, is a very relatively new technology for vaccines. So these are, this is not uncommon to develop new ways of treating diseases. We have great drugs that are very new, right? We've never put these into people before, and we start treating, all sorts of diseases. In my kind of division where I'm in allergy and immunology, there are what are called biologicals. These are new antibodies that block specific molecules in your body that will help, and they've done amazing things for people with, type 2 asthma and trying to.
I'm on one. I'm on Dupixent.
Yeah, Dupixent. Yeah.
That's a biological.
That's biological.
Yeah.
It's a monoclonal antibody. It's a great one because
I actually have EOE.
Oh yeah,
that's
right.
why, yeah.
And that's why it's exactly that type of disease. That's eosinophilic.
Mm-hmm.
That's really responsive to drugs like Dupixent.
So does new mean scary? I mean,
New doesn't mean scary. New doesn't mean scary in a lot of different things. I mean, we have electric cars now. We have new computers. We have the internet. All these new things that we kind of take for granted after a couple of years. New is what makes our country great. We make new things, and things get better as we go along. Otherwise, we're still living, with black and white TV and, frozen dinners, right?
so ultimately, just to Dave's point, like give people the choice, but don't ban it for the groups that want to get it. Or
yeah, I mean, I think it's a little deeper than that. It's not just about the banning. It's also, the way that he talks about these vaccines. It makes people distrust them, right? And that's really not. It's not fair because the vaccines are really an amazing advance in our fight against COVID, and to pull out, kind of cherry pick some data that says, oh, this particular group has a little bit higher chance of some disease that is mild that they'll get over. It's inconsistent with trying to improve people's health. Yeah, so really the two vaccines that are fully approved by the FDA are the mRNA vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna. So these are really some of the best vaccines that we have to prevent COVID. So the problem is really here that there's not a lot of other options if you want to get vaccinated for COVID. The Novavax shot is available, but it's not available for all ages because it was only tested in older people above 12. So it is a problem for availability of vaccines against COVID.
and how right now can someone get an COVID vaccine? Because now you have to have prescriptions and it's certain ages. So just clarify for me.
I don't really have that much clarity because I think there are a lot of the pharmacies are confused about what the actual guidance is in the state of Florida. In other states, they can give the vaccine and it's fine. But here, I think a lot of some pharmacies are being a little bit more careful about what they can and cannot do. So in certain cases, they'll be asking for prescriptions, and in others, maybe not. So I think there needs to be a lot more clarity what the actual policy is going to be going forward.
Do you trust the COVID vaccines? I mean, have they saved lives?
Oh, the COVID vaccines were, I think this is amazing to me. I think this is one of the greatest achievements. Certainly in the vaccine field, to get a vaccine for a pandemic virus within 11 months, that's just amazing. And I think, the studies now that we've done, after the initial phase of the pandemic have shown that something like millions of people have survived because they got vaccinated.
And obviously COVID isn't as deadly and dangerous for, I guess, normal, individuals. Some individuals it's more dangerous. But is it still important to keep getting these vaccines, and maybe for who specifically?
Yeah, for sure it's not going away. And so we do have high-risk groups that need the vaccine. So our elderly population, which we have a lot of here in Florida, 65 and over, the FDA and CDC are still recommending the vaccine for that age group. There are certain people with chronic medical conditions. Maybe you have COPD or some underlying condition that you need the vaccine to protect against infection, because the consequences of a lung infection can be very severe.
Obviously, the Surgeon General and other state officials have said that there's risks with the vaccine. They don't like the speed at which it was developed, or what do you think? Is there anything to be said for the risks that they seem to be worried about?
Yeah, so it's interesting, because I think that the speed that the vaccine was developed was actually one of the amazing things that we've done with science, with Operation Warp Speed in President Trump's first term. The reason that you can develop a vaccine that quickly is when you're in the middle of a pandemic, you actually have a lot of what we call events, a lot of infections that you can compare an untreated group to a vaccine-treated group. Normally for viruses like flu or the virus that I work on, RSV, these are seasonal viruses, so you have to wait a whole year to vaccinate another cohort. So these tend to be a lot slower in development, because you have only once a year can you actually test the vaccine.
So for any reason, is the COVID vaccine more dangerous than the flu vaccine or any others? I mean, is there any reason why this is more of a target?
I think it's more of a target because the technology is new. And there are some things that we don't quite know about it that we found out during the pandemic. For example, younger males have a slightly higher incidence of myocarditis. And that's, that is a risk factor that you can take into consideration if you're a male between 18 and 30 or so, that this may not be the most effective vaccine for you. You might want to take a Novavax vaccine instead.
But ultimately, final message you would say, and you can repeat this if you would want, as far as risks and benefits. Oh,
the benefits far outweigh the risks for the COVID vaccines. We know pretty clearly they've saved lives, and especially for those populations that are more vulnerable, it's something that you should really do to protect yourself against the severe consequences of COVID.
That USF doctor responding to the Surgeon General and the ongoing discussion about the vaccines. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. The Federal Reserve is cutting a key interest rate for the first time since December. We first brought you this as breaking news yesterday afternoon on Florida Live. The drop is by a quarter point, and the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says a slow labor market played a role in the decision not to make that cut larger than it already is. But he did signal more cuts potentially by the end of the year. Fox News business contributor Gary Kaltbaum was on Good Day Orlando this morning to talk about what this means for you and I.
This was expected. It was also, as you know, they were not exactly seeing eye to eye on this, so it wasn't a unanimous decision. What was your read on this?
Well, you got a quarter point. You're going to get probably a couple of more in the next two meetings into December. But I'm always a believer, watch the free market, watch the real market. That'll dictate more. And that's the 10-year yield, which is mortgages and loans. Yeah. But leave no doubt this is easier money, and easier money usually leads to better stock markets. Whether or not it creates a job, I'm not so sure. But at least they're on the lookout at this point in time. And I always say if I was running the Fed, I would have been a half point below where Jay Powell was. So I think he's just playing a little bit of catch up. And hopefully, you know, the president's been all on his back big time. Maybe that slows down a little bit.
Gary, let's break it down for the average consumer. And you kind of touched on mortgage rates is the biggest thing. These are short-term interest rates. It'll be cheaper to borrow money. But a lot of people want mortgage rates to come down. This won't necessarily do that directly.
That is correct. The Fed affects the short-term rates, not the long-term rates, and the mortgages are mostly tied to 10-year bonds, which is the 10-year yield. So watch that closely. It actually went up yesterday while the Fed lowered rates, but it is down a little bit this morning, so good to see. One negative is you will get less money on your money market funds now by about a quarter point. So there's a good and a not so good, but leave no doubt throughout history, easier money flowing through the pipes is usually a good thing for the economy to a certain extent. But again, I have to get back to the job front. I don't think this move creates another job or loses a job, but certainly doesn't hurt.
Interesting to see as well. While we've got you on here, let's talk about Disney. They are majorly in the news right now. You follow them. Disney's been a controversy on a number of sides. Pulling Jimmy Kimmel off the air. People on both sides reacting different. Some applaud that. Some say they're going to cancel Disney. Your thoughts?
Well, you're going to have half the country applauding and half the country upset. I hear there's already protests to be had. Look, I'm just a big believer that companies get to decide what's best on their best interests. So if Disney thinks this was the right move, hey, more power to them. I think what's happened is there's a real change going on in the country right now. I don't know if it's the Charlie Kirk thing, but I think it's been in the offing for a while. But Disney has decided that they looked at the bottom line, they looked at the balance sheet, I'm pretty sure they probably got inundated with protests, whether you believe, on one side or the other, and they made a decision. And I'll tell you this: is anybody talking about Stephen Colbert losing his job in a few months anymore? No, it'll be off the front pages in a few days, and guess what? We'll all move on.
Interesting times in the business world and everything as well. Real quick, you think the president's pleased with the interest rate cut, or does he still want to see change at the Fed?
He wants to see more. He just put a new guy in that asked for a half rate cut. So I would expect the president is hoping for more, and I'm pretty sure he's going to get more, at least in the next two meetings. And as of next May, he'll get to put in his own person running the Fed. And guess what that's going to mean? Easier money going forward.
So we will continue to watch some of those developments when it comes to the business and financial aspects, and certainly the effects that they have on the economy and a number of other things. I want to take you to Tampa, where the Hard Rock Hotel in Tampa is ringing in Hispanic Heritage Month by donating $100,000 to several local Hispanic organizations. They are hosting some Latin nights, live music from local artists on Thursday nights. And again, this is all part of Hispanic Heritage Month, which began just a couple of days ago and runs through October 15th.
Signed this cap for the Pirates for Hispanic Heritage Month. On the back, in Spanish, says Piratas. The approach to do an interview he thanked the Pirates broadcaster, Bob Prince. He says, "Thank you, Bob. But before I say something in English, I would like to say something in Spanish for my mother and father in Puerto Rico." His words were, "En el día más grande de mi vida, para los nenes, la bendición, y que mis padres me echen la bendición en Puerto Rico." That was the first Latin words, Spanish words via satellite all throughout MLB and Major League Baseball and United States broadcast. So it was our culture that was shared with everyone at that time. In the same spirit, I was proud to help make history this year with the Pirates' first ever Spanish language broadcast. On Clemente Day, my brother and Carlos Vallega and I were joined via Zoom by Albert Pujols, Sammy Sosa, Edgar Martinez, and Carlos Delgado. It received such a positive response from the fans and the Pirates owners that we are now in discussions about future Spanish language broadcasts. This contribution from Seminole Hard Rock Tampa will go a long way in helping us continue to provide scholarships for young people, create play and learning opportunities for kids, support communities in need through service. The foundation has no paid staff, and all contributions go 100% towards program expenses. On behalf of my family and the Roberto Clemente Foundation, we thank you. Seminole Hard Rock's motto, "Love all, serve all," truly reflects the way my father and mother lived, and it inspires us to continue our work the Clemente way, building nations of good. Thank you, and God bless.
Talking about the impact of Roberto Clemente on the Hispanic heritage and Major League Baseball and so many other things as well. And we just marked Roberto Clemente Day as well. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us. Two investigations underway in Seminole County after a suspect in a child porn investigation, according to deputies, pulled a gun from his waistband when he was confronted by deputies. Men ended up being shot and killed by those deputies. This happened at a home yesterday near East Wekiva Trail and Hatfield Court in Longwood. I want to play for you a little bit of what the sheriff had to say. Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima was out there at that scene yesterday and walked us through the investigation. We know the suspect had been under surveillance for this child porn case and some of those charges. So I do want to play you some of this. I do want to warn you, though, that some of what you're going to hear is graphic and disturbing. This was Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima walking reporters through the situation after that deputy-involved shooting yesterday in Seminole County.
Thank you for your patience. What I'd like to do is kind of start from the beginning. I'll go through the entire circumstances that led us to this point, and at the end I'll open for any questions. The investigation here at 102 Hatfield Court, Longwood, started a little more than a week ago. Actually, last Tuesday we got a tip. If people engage in child pornography, there's unique characteristics that are identifiable to law enforcement agencies and other agencies. We received a tip that somebody was accessing mobile devices at 102 Hathaway that contain child pornography. When these investigations occur, we typically bring whatever evidence we have, and we obtained a search warrant, which was executed last Tuesday at this location. We arrived at that search warrant. We seized 4 cell phones and 2 computers from the location. Gary Gutenberger was the only person there. He was a male, 68 years old, I believe, and again, had no contact with him for the past week or so. A day or so after obtaining the evidence, we were able to forensically examine both the cell phones and the computers. That's a process that's still ongoing now, but just with a short examination, we discovered over 100 sexually explicit videos involving children from 3 to 9 years old, including sexual activity, sexual battery, bondage, the most horrific examples of child pornography that somebody can have. In addition to that, there were more than 200 still photographs containing the same type of material on the phones. And again, this is a process that we are still forensically examining those 4 cell phones and those 2 computers, but that was enough evidence for us to move forward and obtain an arrest warrant for Gary Gutenberger at this location. Since we knew that he lived here, we were conducting surveillance in the area. The easiest way for us to apprehend somebody is to hopefully do it, which presents the least amount of distraction and harm to anyone else. So as we were conducting surveillance, Gary Gutenberger came out of his house. He was on a walker. He walked down to the middle of the driveway. Our detectives, investigators that were here conducting surveillance looked at that as a great opportunity to try to apprehend him without incident. And he immediately reached to his waistband, pulling a .38 revolver out of his waistband and start raising it up. The deputy that was on scene, the detective that was on scene, provided clear communication. Don't do that, drop your firearm. His response to the deputy that was here was, "I have to." Shortly after that, our deputy, we fired at least 2 shots. We believe it was 2 shots, taking down the suspect, and he is deceased in the driveway right now. I've had the opportunity to watch a video video that we had put up conducting surveillance within the area. Look, we're here, we're watching. We have video that is documenting these things, and you talk about a clear shot. There's nothing clearer than this. Gary Gutenberger was presenting a real and imminent threat to the deputies that were here on scene. They used great patience and discretion. They tried to talk him out of actually doing this, and of course, I'm convinced that his mind was made up should he be confronted with this thing that occurred last week. If there's one person that absolutely knew what was on those devices that were seized, it was him. In addition to the evidence that we're still collecting, we know at least on one occasion, where he communicated with another woman about engaging in sexual activity with her child. And at this point, we don't believe that that has ever occurred, but those were ongoing communications he has. He clearly was taking this to the next level, and he posed an imminent and credible threat, not only to our deputies, but to this community. As we typically do, we have asked our partners with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to come out here and conduct an independent investigation into all of the circumstances that had occurred on this particular incident, as asking our 18th Judicial Circuit State Attorney to come out and provide an independent eye into everything that they see out here on the scene. Our investigators and detectives are here. They're canvassing the area, they're talking to neighbors, they're trying to find out as much information as they possibly can. That's an ongoing process. That's a process that's not wrapped up in one day, because there's a lot of questions that people have of how can this happen in a incredibly safe community, living next to somebody who's engaging in this type of behavior. We don't know that he's been involved in any criminal activity in the past. We knew at one time he was a firefighter. He had been retired for the fire department for more than 12 years. There is absolutely no correlation between the fire department and what he was doing here. Again, long since retired from the fire department, but he had a career one time as a firefighter. We are providing our victim advocates that are here, not only to neighbors or people who may be in the area that want to talk to somebody for grief counseling. As we typically do, the deputies that we have that are involved in these cases, we want to make sure that we can lift them up and support them and their families, and that's a process that's going on right now. So if you look at a cut and dry case, to recap, we got information at 102 Hadaway Court in Longwood that the person at that location was using unique characteristics, their email, other characteristics to access child porn. That porn was kids between the age of 3 and 9, and it included bondage, sexual batteries, and the most horrific examples of abuse and neglect that any human being could ever imagine. We seized on a search warrant last Tuesday 4 cell phones and 2 computers. That was examined as we examined it in our lab, because he would not give us any of the passcodes. He would not work with us during the investigation. Heck, he didn't even want to come to the door, which is part of the reason why we were conducting surveillance here. In just one day, we were able to recover more than 100 videos, some of them as long as 22 minutes long, with kids tied up with rope and everything else. In addition to that, hundreds of still videos and him communicating with at least one other adult about taking his perversion one step further and arranging to meet up with a child. To this point, we don't know of any children that have been victimized by him. There was no physical evidence that we have recovered so far to show that he actually acted out on this. And he walks out as we're conducting surveillance with his walker. When he walks outside, he's got a pair of shorts on, shirt. He's got a .38 revolver fully loaded in his waistband. He reaches for the revolver, pulls it out. The deputy says, "Don't do it, don't do it." He says, "I have to," which leads into the ideology of suicide by cop and all of these things that I'm sure somebody would want to ask me about anyway. Our deputies that are involved in this are doing fine physically, and from my conversations with them, they seem to be doing well considering the circumstances emotionally. And FDLE is conducting the independent investigation as we wrap this case up. We'll be here for a while, knocking on doors.
Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima yesterday afternoon giving the details and disturbing claims there, and that they say they uncovered through their investigation, and the reason that they were surveilling that child porn suspect to begin with, ending in the death of that suspect in the driveway of his home. And you heard Sheriff Lima kind of recapping what led to that yesterday. We also this week marked 100 days in office for Osceola County Sheriff Christopher Blackman, who took over that role in an interim basis after the suspension of Osceola Sheriff Marcos Lopez, who is now facing charges in connection with an alleged illegal gambling ring. Sheriff Blackman spoke with Fox 35's Manny Martinez this week to talk about how they have worked to make some changes in that sheriff's office and where things go for the next 100 days in that seat.
Joined now by Osceola Sheriff Christopher Blackman, marking his first 100 days in office since being appointed to the position by Governor Ron DeSantis. Sheriff, just what kind of a learning experience have these 100 days been?
It's been a lot coming into the unknown when I took over. So we had to work through probably the first 2 or 3 weeks of stuff here, getting through basically what the sheriff's office experienced with the arrest of the former sheriff, and me coming in, learning the staff, and just getting the agency back up and running and building trust with the community and also building trust internally with the employees.
How do you go about rebuilding that trust? It's not easy.
Getting out in the community, going to HOAs. We've had some hotel meetings, civic groups, churches, school board meetings, county commission, other meetings I can get out to. Anything in the community. Had one in St. Cloud a couple of weeks ago. Had a lot of people that are business owners in St. Cloud come out. Anything I can attend to get our message out. Also in employees is going around the agency here, just meeting them, talking to them, and letting them know what my mission is and what the mission is of the sheriff's office will be. And we've got a lot of good men and women here that do great jobs. Just need the reassurance of the new sheriffs in town, and we're going to operate with integrity, trust under everything we do.
What kind of changes have you brought to the sheriff's office in your 100 days so far?
Made a lot of changes at the upper command. Brought in Lee Massey, who's got 40 years of experience in law enforcement. Brought Lee in. I've changed out 2 more majors. I brought in Kevin Brown from Highway Patrol, and well as Alex Guevara from FHP. I brought people in who I can trust to help me run this agency with the utmost integrity and trust, and that's what we're going to do.
What kind of feedback have you gotten from the people in Osceola County?
It's been phenomenal. I wasn't sure coming in, but the feedback has been great from the community. A lot of people have asked me to run for sheriff, internally and externally. So I have accepted that challenge. I will be running for sheriff of Osceola County, whenever that may be.
And I think I know your answer to this question, but, running for the job yourself, that doesn't change your mission here now.
Absolutely not. Our mission is to operate with integrity, trust. When I got here, Manny, all I had was integrity. When I leave here, it's going with me. And however long I'm the sheriff, we're going to run this place the right way, which has not been for the last several years. And that is empowering our people to do their job, do it right. And again, we live by the golden rule, which is treat others the way you want to be treated. Most of the time that works out, and that's our mission.
And speaking before we started recording on this interview, you mentioned that you weren't in a position to be able to comment on the latest in the case against the suspended sheriff, but there is that audit that is happening right now of the department, and we're probably about getting close to the time where it could be released to us. Is there an update that you have with that audit?
Still ongoing. It's very in-depth. It's actually a forensics financial examination. I used the term early on audit because that's what I knew. And once we talked to the vendors, the more in-depth look at the finances here is a forensics financial examination. So we're still under that right now. It's going to be a while, but they're looking at everything that's happened in the past here. We're also doing an audit of our IT section as well as our evidence property section. So we basically went from top to bottom, scrubbing everything we have here to make sure that I can give the public and the governor's office the answers back on what's exactly happening here at the Osceola County Sheriff's Office.
You're focused for the next 100 days.
Continue to build our trust with the community, getting out and about to everything I can go to attend, sharing my message with the community, and that is that we're here to operate the sheriff's office, kind of like these scales of justice, blind justice, go out, treat people fairly, do our job with integrity and trust.
Osceola Sheriff Christopher Blackman. Sheriff, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon. It's a short week for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after they played on Monday Night Football, but you know what? I'm sure they'll take it because they are 2-0 heading into Week 3 when they will host the New York Jets at Raymond James Stadium. There are some injury updates to be aware of. We heard from head coach Todd Bowles talking about those, including several what's going to be game time decisions when it comes to Sunday afternoon.
Will Golston did not participate. Godwin, Ryan Neal, Vita. Should be 2 or 3 more in there somewhere. Carlton. Probably a couple. Probably 2 more I'm probably missing.
What are those injuries specifically?
He's got a leg. He got an ankle and a knee.
Obviously, you guys are beat up at this point of the year. I know probably a lot of teams are, but talk about the job that some of the younger guys, the rookies, have done to step in, like a KJ Britt on Sunday.
You know, most of them have played early in the year, probably except KJ, but they're not making the mistakes they made in the middle of the season, coming down here towards the stretch, and they're playing confidently. KJ's been itching to play for a long time. He's very smart. The guys believe in him. He's into it. I mean, he's all ball. If you talk to the guy, he's all ball, and he got an opportunity to play, and he made the most of it.
He graded out pretty well.
Yeah, he did.
The guys who didn't practice today, were those more precautionary? Just kind of rest days, let them kind of heal up and their outlook towards the game on Sunday?
Some of them will be game time decisions. You know, it's probably half and half. There's some of them that's hurt, and we'll see how they trend during the week.
With Devin White, he had 2 weeks with the foot where he still played, and he's now had 2 weeks with the foot where he hasn't played. Do you have a sense in terms of whether it's in play that he practices this week, could be back, or do you move forward with KJ?
Well, hopefully he does something tomorrow, but, you know, until he gets better, we got to move forward with KJ, and it's early in the week. We'll see with 2 weeks off what he does toward the end of the week and kind of go from there.
Devontae Adams is long gone. He was the #1 receiver up there in Green Bay. But they've got a young collective group with Reed and Dobbs and Watson and Wicks. When they're healthy, that look like they're pretty promising targets for Jordan. What problems does that group face or present to you guys on Sunday? Because any one of those guys can really step up for Jordan.
No, the biggest thing about this week, these guys are young, but they're route runners. Normally you either face speed guys or big guys that can catch. They got size, speed, and they got precision. You know, they're very good route runners. They have very good hands, and they compete. So at any point in time, any one of them can beat you. That's what makes it hard about these guys. They're all pretty much on the same level. They're very good football players. You might not have heard the names, but if you watch them play, those guys can play.
Green Bay's always been a really tough place to play for the Bucs throughout their history. You guys had luck there in 2020. What makes it so challenging? They have just a strong record in December, at home especially.
I'm sure the weather plays a part in some of the things they do, but they have a good football team, and they're very well coached, and they finish up ball games in December, and we're trying to finish up ball games in December. So I don't know too much about the history of that they had against the Bucs, but we're going up there to win a game, and this is this year's Bucs, and we got to go by this year.
What have you seen out of Kayvon Merriweather stepping in for Ryan Neal? He had a game earlier in the season, and then he came in, obviously.
Always prepared. He's one of the few rookies that if you call his name, he pays attention to meetings, walkthroughs, even when he doesn't get the reps. He mentally takes reps, so when you put him in there, it's not a surprise. And it's not a shock to him, and he plays like he's been there, and that's the best thing about him.
Had a big play on Sunday, too.
He did. He got a PBU on that one. Again, the game's not too big for him.
Tom, you guys brought Evan Deckers back on the practice squad. I just want to ask you kind of what Zach's dealing with, and then where things stand for him as Sunday goes.
He's another one that didn't practice today. He's got an elbow, obviously. When the long snapper gets an elbow, it's a problem. So we put him on the practice squad, and we'll see where Triner is during the end of the week. And, if he can't go, then we're going to have to bring him up.
Todd, Marquise Watson, very limited reps, has gotten 5 quarterback pressures on 21 pass rushes. That's a pretty incredible 24% pass rush win rate. What does he have to do to get more pass rush reps for you guys in games rather than just the strength like he's gotten over the last couple weeks?
Well, he's got to continue to get acclimated to the system, and the mental errors got to cut down. He's got to be comfortable just calling anything when he's out there. We just can't call certain things, and he's getting used to that part of it, so that takes a little bit of time.
Looks like Antoine Winfield has kind of stepped up his game from previous years. First player since Brian Dawkins to have more than 3 sacks, forced fumbles, and fumble recoveries. Just kind of talk about just the progress with him and how he's elevated his game this season.
His mental approach, it's always been there, but the game slowed down for him immensely. His study habits are outstanding. The way he prepares, the way he takes notes every day like he's a rookie, and he prepares that way. He practices like he plays. He doesn't leave anything to chance. He'll pick a ball off in practice, and no matter where he picks it off out on the field, he's going to run to the other end zone and stick it in there before he goes back to the huddle, even if it's 90 yards. That's rare these days for people to do that, but his constant work habits are outstanding.
It took some guts for Dave.
Head coach Todd Bowles speaking there ahead of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers home game against the New York Jets coming up on Sunday afternoon. Well, thanks for joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus. We're going to get ready to take a short break here on Fox Local and on YouTube, but we will be back at the top.